it's the Really Charlie Podcast. Yeah, it's the Really Charlie Podcast. Yo, it's the Really Charlie Podcast. Bumping through your broadcast, grab a chair, fill your glass. Yeah, it's the Really Charlie Podcast. Yo, it's the Really Charlie Podcast. Yeah, it's the Really Charlie Podcast. Bumping through your broadcast, grab a chair, fill your glass.
Hey, welcome to the Really Charlie Podcast. I'm Charlie Perry, and my guest today is Coach M100. That is Marvin Speller, my man, definitely doing his thing, always. And this podcast is dedicated to people in love, people that are grieving, people that are trying to support others that are going through the same thing. And what we try to do is inspire. You don't think you can inspire someone that's in love and grieving? Yeah, you can. So this is why we do it. And Marvin's my guest today. I have so many other people that want to come on here. And so this is going to be an ongoing thing thanks to Marvin and our friends that have been on it, Liz and Paula and Phil. Like to get Dr. Maritza Barrows on here, also Michael Santos of New Bedford. Like to get him on here and share their amazing stories. So, what's up, Coach? How you doing?
How you doing, brother? And thank you for having me on. And yeah, it's always important, it's always just to connect with you and just build, man. And it's interesting. On one of my memories, it popped out recently. One of the things we used to come on and talk about mental health,
Mm-hmm.
and Charlie, that was like almost 3 years ago.
Wow, you know what? And you say that, and just I say a week and a half ago, I'm thinking about our friend Robert Riggins.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, you know what? The last time I talked to him was, I think, no, sorry, there was a funeral service that I talked to him. But before that, it was the show that we were talking about, different things. And so I got to reach out to him again and
Hope he's doing
see how he's doing. But 3 years is wow, it's kind of quick.
Yeah, time flies, my brother. Time definitely flies. But yeah, man, I'm always grateful just to kind of be around you. You've got this vibe about you. It's like I hadn't felt this vibe in people, like very few people that I hold this vibe with, where it's like, man, anytime I could be around you, listen to you, hear you, and just feel your vibe, man. I feel very, very fulfilled getting that vibration and love from you, brother.
It's the same way I feel about you. It's definitely there's this. I mean, day one, I can really say day one. I had that vibe about you, and not only that you were married to my cousin, but I didn't even need that, right? I didn't need that. Just seeing that ace in your heart, and I just knew you were a good man, and
I appreciate that.
So glad that we were able to connect.
Well, I had to earn my way. I had to earn my way into Kristen's heart, which was one of my greatest accomplishments. I remember Kristen telling some folks, her past several months, that was her greatest accomplishment in life was our love. And man, you talking about being so intertwined with someone, that's the way to go. And I was like, man, at minimum, helping people through grief, and that whole facet of just existing through that.
Mm-hmm.
I could probably be a relationship counselor as well. So just to, because I say that in some ways joking, but I also say that in a way that there is nothing like that level of love, because it's like a lot of times you may be involved with someone and you always feel like it's conditional, right? It could be like, okay, well,
Yeah.
you're a guy, you're a bum, it's not gonna last long. If you're a woman, if you don't provide any love many different ways, then the love goes out the window, right? You really feel like um, love is very conditional, right? I didn't feel that with Kristen.
Mhm. Yeah, we talked about it many times how how she just has that power and
Yeah, yeah. It
that
was very,
spirit.
it was very unworldly,
Yeah.
and lets you know that Kristen accomplished what she needed to accomplish on this game, as we call it. Um, and whatever whatever it was, she came an accomplishment, touched so many people,
So
and I would consider and call this into exact purity, just because it was like there was no, it was none of this stuff where what you saw is what you got. It's that love,
mhm.
your love, and we always have that. When you think about all that's going on in life, right? You behind that is what? Behind that is like a bliss and love.
So
So
true.
yeah, that's the beauty part of it, man. And it's like this is what you got. And I'll go into some other things I've discovered along the way. When we're breaking down grief and love, there's so many different components to this, but there is also this person that you learn to you love that person on a different level when someone has left you,
Mm.
because you're not loving that person who's like has a whole bunch of things that they're holding on to anymore. They're not holding on to that. They're not holding on to anger, bitterness, any of that stuff. It's is you what you're loving at that point, the transformation, is that pure bliss and pure love.
Exactly.
That's what you learn over time. That's the part where you love. You're not loving, or you're not really even thinking about the other stuff. The only thing that really matters is the love. And to me, that contributes to a part of healing.
Mm. The it it's you put it in a way where you know like I talked about just a few minutes ago. You put it in a way where it inspires someone, right? Or you just actually said something that maybe that another person had said. And what I call that is it's a community not connected, right? You two people are not connected,
Hmm.
but you got something so similar that you're going through. And I really think that discussions of, and I know you've seen it, especially especially where you came from, right? There was tales to be told
Hmm.
by the elders, right? And young men and women, children, period. They just listened,
Hmm.
and I I would like more and more stories to come out, good, bad, and ugly, right?
Hmm.
Because we are getting so many things taken away from us,
Hmm.
um, and and I think that the best teacher is someone that has a truthful mouth, right? Not a how do I want to say it? Tainted, a poisonous mouth or a lying mouth. Need somebody with a truthful mouth to tell stories. And no matter what, this is a story that needs to be told because after grief, in some cases, it led to some more grief because people just get overwhelmed and they can't take it anymore
Hmm.
and they end up leaving the earth. and just because they couldn't deal with it anymore. And so,
Yeah.
but I I, I didn't I didn't come on here to go off, but
No, it's okay.
I just wanted to mention that, and only because it just hearing you talking and things are starting to trigger. It's like, oh my God, and you talked about being a relationship counselor. Well, you have the you have the ability and the capabilities to say words and it triggers emotions, right? That's what you do. There's some things, there's a lot of conversations that we have, and you end up saying something and it just kind of triggers something like an outpouring thing, or you do that. So being a counselor is definitely something that's you have it without having a PhD or degree or whatever, but you definitely have
No,
it.
I appreciate that. A lot of his learning experiences, right?
Life skills, and
Yeah, because it's like
don't we underestimate that sometimes?
I know, right? Because you go through life and you hopefully you experience a level of contrast, right? It's like you can't have left without right. You can't have
Mm,
up without down because what would you know what up was if there was no down, right? So
true.
you experience contrast to expand. And really, man, you talk about life. That's like life in a nutshell. The contrast and expansion, right? There
Sure
was
is.
somebody at some point 100 and some years ago was like, man, you know what? I'm tired of riding this horse. So I can get down a muddy road. I'm not going nowhere.
Hmm.
And guess what? You had that contrast, and then like that birth um a car, right? And you think
Yep.
about us as humans going through this level of contrast, we expand from that. That's just that really is just actual facts here. That's just sometimes life is not that complicated when you break it down to simplest terms, right?
Yeah.
Think about it. Some point it got cold. People were like, okay, well, let's put something on.
Hmm.
Some point that somebody was hungry. What did they do?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We live in a state of duality. The state of duality is what really helps us out the most. It may not feel that way at times, right? But collectively, when you talk about a collective thing, um,
I
that's why
love that
sometimes
word.
it's like we see how the world is going, right? And then you'll see a bombardment with this on social, this, and it's been like that for a long
So,
time. What did we do before social media when it came time to things we didn't want to deal with?
mm,
We spend time in front of people playing cards, right?
mm,
Doing something, having a good time, more cookouts, and so it became something. I will say I love social media as a way to connect with people. We have to be careful because we're here we go again. We're creating. Sometimes when you're creating, you're going from one place to another, and then you bring other people on. So you think about it. When you have people who are angry together, what does that create? That
mm,
creates mobs, right? You talk about
yeah.
mob rule and all that other stuff. As opposed to is that solution driven, where it's like, okay, let's bring more people together to brainstorm and solve problems. This is where it's at.
Mm,
And I can say this from I don't want to this is not a political show. I can say that on both sides.
mm,
And we have to be very careful. This day and time, we're just so stinking powerful where we have an opportunity for people to come together and not come together from a standpoint, well, I'm feeling this and that. Everybody should have that moment to speak what's on their mind. That's fair.
yeah.
But we got to come together for something even greater, right?
Uh,
I think about natural disasters. Like we just had all these fires in LA.
then
Time
that
people
goes.
didn't have time to complain about anything. It was time to come together and let's build. let's help each other out. This is kind of so that wasn't an event on the social media. That was an event in live time, and so many people came together to help and shared the love and try to help each other out. I was
I'm
at
glad I'm glad you mentioned all this because that was one of the questions that I was going to lead to about the fires, and so great job.
Yeah, I mean, I went to a musical get together, a musical party, shared it on Facebook.
Hmm.
Um, where the Music Cares is the group that was helping people out, and it was tens of thousands of dollars of helping people out here in LA who are affected by the fires. And I got to tell you, man, the vibe in that room Sunday night was probably one of the best vibes I've been in a long
Mm.
time, just period, man, because everybody was there from all across the planet getting together and just sharing love and dancing, having a good time, listening to great music. And man, I was so fulfilled. My vibe was so fulfilled because people were just loving each other. It was great. Oh my gosh. I mean, I just love that, man. That to me is like such a next level of love that you talk about potential, right? And
Hmm.
possibilities. These are the possibilities of us collectively as just humans getting together, right? That level of love, right? Two things are hard to happen at one time, love and anger at the same time, right? At least outwardly, right?
Hmm.
And man, I tell you, like I said, I can still talk about this to this day, just the fulfillment of all of that. I'm so grateful that I was invited to go.
Very nice. The sounds like the events you and Kristen used to attend, right? Don't it sound like that? From what you're explaining.
It
Um,
does. Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, and it and how'd you feel? With being there and um, I mean, you obviously said that you were feeling good. It was a great vibe. Um, was that vibe because it was something that was so familiar to you?
No,
The surrounding.
you know
Okay, all right.
what? For many years, we attended. I mean, dozens and dozens of events, man. Um, the the big thing when I moved out to LA was the red carpet.
Hmm.
So we've been to, but this one was different, man. It was like I felt. I'm gonna take a step back first.
Okay.
Um, I have been feeling so whole with the love and this iteration of love that I have now.
Okay.
This iteration of love is like um, you pivot over time, and I pivoted where it's like, okay, I'm showing up with the veil of love in my heart from a wonderful woman that is always going to be a part of my heart, but
Mm.
showing up authentically as myself as well.
Okay.
So there's not this thing of, well, the sadness of that she's not going to the event with me. Because, it was always nice to have my partner. And when she was ill, I wouldn't go to any events because I was like, I'm not going anywhere without you. So but this one was all about just being there, and the essence of love is there, but the essence of love is what fuels you for the things that you need to do up into going out, being around people, being with people, etc.
The the LA fires are something I got a little taste of, but nothing to the drastic or the tragedy that you experienced, right, and many others. The one thing that I know about California, LA area,
Mm-hmm.
is that thousands and thousands of people could be affected or victimized, or but you would
Thousands a
sure,
low number, brother. You talking
yeah,
about millions, man. You talking about a
yeah,
city of
w-
11 million people.
yeah,
So
and just think of
yeah.
just that amount. Like you can say, all right, we'll say 11 million, right?
Mm-hmm.
Around that 11 million, you will find 44 million trying to support them, or come together or try to help out. It seems like there was the in my experiences that if there was a percentage of people that were hurting and ailing and needed some help, that particular area kind of came out, in drove and waves. I'm going to
Yeah.
help you. I'm going to try to help you. I'm going to do what I can. And maybe that's the whole country or the world. But I want to say there's one thing about California. Um, if they can help out, they're going to do it. And
Mm-hmm.
I've seen it firsthand. Um, all right. Marvin, what I want to do is I'm trying to save a link that's up here, and it won't save for some reason. But I want to start off with the questions that I talked to you about.
Okay.
Um, and trying to I want to. You were talking about love, and there's a book that I read, um, and it's from a friend of mine that I had on this podcast, and her name was Marilee Sweeney,
Okay.
and she's in California too.
Mm.
Um, and she wrote a book. It's called The Game, and talks about love.
Mm-hmm.
But and one of the strong emphasis that she has is that if you um, is to love God, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you love God, you're gonna play the game of love,
Mm.
and it just goes and it talks about people being pieces in the game,
Mm.
and it's something I want to get to you because I know that you will go on the journey of this, and you're already playing the game. You are, whether you know it or not. So I want to get it to you. Um, I'm gonna try to do it this week.
Okay.
Um, and because everything that you talk about, I've seen bits and pieces of it in this book, and and you guys, yeah, you probably live miles away from each other, just a few miles away from each other. Um, but I think that you definitely should read this book. And I'm not sure if you guys ever communicated on my podcast together, but it I don't know, but I'll have to we'll talk about that later. All right, Marvin is coach. This is the first question, and I know that you have talked about this in the past. So, but some of these questions, I got three questions for you, and this is the first one.
Okay.
And it goes, how has your understanding of love evolved or changed since experiencing the loss of your wife?
That's a great question. I think it's evolved this way because you go through a high level of discovering yourself because your love for yourself hits the floor. I mean, it drops all the way down. You have to spend the time rediscovering yourself.
Mhm,
And also, you love a different version of, like for me, I love a different version of Kristen.
mhm,
I'm loving this pure love piece where um, there's no regrets, there's no loss. There's that pure love, as we talked about before, that divine love.
mhm,
And I think about when you talk about wherever you want to call the universe, source, energy, God, Allah, Buddha. I think when you think about pure and divine love, that's kind of the spark of creation where that comes from. That's the part of the journey I go through. But I think that evolving from that, and then you fall in love with yourself because your self talk about yourself, you really discover so many different layers of yourself, where it's like your self talk is terrible because
Mm,
you in some way when you're married to someone, there is a validation that you have, right? You have the validation that someone loves you, right? Your wife loves you. That's the level of validation, right?
mm, yeah,
Now your validation mainly comes from yourself.
makes sense. It does. It does make sense. Um, the um, I know that we have our friends, Liz and Paula and Phil that
Mhm.
have been on here, and I'm gonna re I'm gonna keep this question.
That's a
Yeah.
that's a powerful question because you can. I brought that just straight from my gut, man. There's no thinking
Mhm.
on that. It's just like I wanted to give it to you raw.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. And here's a second question. It says, "What do you wish others understood about the grieving process, and how can they better support those navigating the complexities of love and loss?"
I would say there is a period of discovery for yourself.
Mm,
But I also think you have to experience it all. If you're sad, you're sad. You're happy, you're happy. Um, we just don't want to be married to too many of those states for too long because
mm,
it's destructive.
yeah.
You know, sadness is destructive on many levels, and you're really it's hard because it's like the way we're taught is to kind of grieve heavy because that's kind of respectful to the person, but is it?
Mm,
As I mentioned before, that iteration of that person who's passed on, they're not having these things that you're grieving for anymore. They're not having the sorrow. They're not
mm,
having these many things. And so you almost ask yourself, what exactly is that something you're going through? And that's okay because we all go through those things because it's very devastating, man.
true.
Because you don't really know if you're coming or going. I would
Mm,
always say, with that, it's a level of discovery for yourself. And please, please don't overlook that because you have to go through that period. I'm in a far different place than I was even a month ago,
mm,
and I felt some things have come along the way. Has been very freeing to me. With that being said, I had a dream last night that I was so sad and I was crying that she had cancer.
mm,
So I can still go through all these different facets along the way, but that whole discovery piece is discovery of yourself is crucial because you matter. If you didn't matter, you probably wouldn't be here.
yeah. True. 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 The All right. Oh, wrong button here. The third question is, how has your understanding of love evolved? That's not the one, Charlie. Come on, Marvin.
That's okay.
I'm getting a C minus today, man.
No.
All right, here it is. Um, what was one of the most profound ways your wife showed you love during your time together, and how has
Oh
that
man.
impacted your grief journey?
I'm gonna answer it like this. I remember one of the conversations that Kristen and I had last month. She even asked me again about being a great wife. I'm like, are you kidding me? I mean, the
Mm,
most fantastic wife ever.
mm,
Keep in mind, I've been married before. I mean,
yeah.
and I'm not going to sit here and put people down because it may have been something in my vibration didn't attract the best from other people. Because there's
Mm.
always two sides of the coin, right?
Yes.
With that being said, man, being able to attract and experience is the best part of her. You know, I remember early on, the love that we had was grew organically,
Mm.
but it was always somebody that was very and highly supportive of me.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm talking about being a relationship counselor. Sometimes people are just into each other because if you're not, it's a waste of damn time. I mean, honestly, let's just cut through it. You may want someone to be somewhere, but sometimes you just can't force it. It's like
Yeah.
it's either there or it's not there. And life is far too short, man. Um, she was always that type of person. And so, like I said, I felt unconditional love.
Mm. The I see these questions and looking at them, and reading them again, um, uh, we can't say, all right. I can't, me personally, on this side of the mic, I can't say I'm going to stop asking these questions.
Man, I tell you, you can ask away anything, brother. Oh, I'm going
Yeah.
to add one more thing, too.
Sure.
We were never tired of each other.
Mm,
We
mm,
could be in the same room doing different things, but we're just
amen.
never tired of each other. And that's how you know.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like it was very easy. It was no balance of, well, I love you today, and today may not love you as much. No, it it was easy.
Mm,
And early on when we were going, when we met, clearly she was going through some stuff, and as I was as well. But it never intersected in how we dealt with each other because you're always going to deal with things as an individual.
mhm.
But at some point, you don't intersect with that. So I mean, just a level of bliss, man. And uh, that's why I said I'm highly, highly grateful for that because you have this opportunity to be around someone. And then for this person to, I've been given clear instructions from her what to do next, where to go with this, etc. Which
Mm,
is, like I said, that whole discovery piece. The signs are there and all that, and so and I'll continue to tell the story along the way because I think it's important for people to hear. Um, Grief is not just one sided. If you're paying attention,
mm.
what do you activate it with? For me, grief. I even hate to use the word grief.
Yeah.
Um,
What could
Dealing
we
with the
use?
loss of someone, yeah, dealing
What
with the
could we?
loss of someone is so many different facets to it. How do you live in this person's memory? How do you honor them? How do you represent them? How do you continue to move forward? Who do you
Mm,
move forward with? And people around you, and etc. How how do you maneuver through all that stuff? It's critically important because
yeah.
what society tells you sometimes is totally different than how it really is.
So true. The uh there's sometimes grief could be a trigger word, right?
Yeah.
And so
Hmm.
as being part of the community or part of the support for someone that is going through it, you got
Hmm.
to know that. You got to know that, especially with people around you, and um, it's good to be observant.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah, it is.
yeah, yeah. So the I've been following a few of our friends, the thousands of friends that we have on here, and trying to pay attention to who may need to be in this on the seat of this podcast, right? There's so many people out there, and so I pay attention to it, and try not to be intruding on someone's business. But I listen to so many of your stories and others, and I just now it's got to the point where I'm trying to have my eyes open, my ears, listening, and when someone is in love and going through some grief, I'm trying to reach out to them, to say you're not alone, But I like to get some others on here with us,
That's good because you're never that same person anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You just move differently. You act differently, and
Yeah.
Sometimes it takes a while to get that sparkle.
Yeah.
That life force back in you, and I feel like that door has opened up. You just keep moving, man. And I will say there's a couple things that I learned along with loss, and I remember the things that I remember when I first met Kristen. One of the things she talked about a lot was, please don't judge her.
Mm.
And you think about, we all do this thing, right? Because you think about, remember I was telling you all the ills you see on social media? Somebody's judging. Our brain, that part of our brain that's judging and analyzing, some ways is an older part of our brain that just kind of morph between the new and the old.
Mm-hmm.
And that was to kind of get you out of a problem. That's not the state you should be in all the time, because it elicits stress and cortisol overload in your body,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it's a collection and accumulation of thoughts, one stacked on top of another. So I remember leaning on that as I'm working through things, even to this day. I'm like, well, you see something like, you know what? Okay. You give yourself a certain period to observe, but then you pull back your judgment, because sometimes you think about it. Some things you just was like, okay, I'm gonna step back for a second. That's a whole lot easier than just kind of immerse yourself in it and then judge it, especially if it's something that's crappy, right? Or appears to be crappy. What's going to happen at that point? So that's kind of when I look at something, I tell you, I feel a whole lot better. You cannot solve a problem from a place of judging. You cannot solve a problem from a place of you really not being in alignment with yourself. And so when you're in alignment with yourself, you can discover and solve things a whole lot more regularly than just being in a place of just judging, because it's just you're the whole thing that makes this thing work is you being in alignment with your best self. And when you're in that place of judging, I can be like, well, Charlie did this, he said this, why he saying like this? And I'm spiraling through my head with this, and then it comes to the conclusion, Charlie's a messed up individual. You know what I'm saying? It didn't take long to get there, because we operate from that perspective now. And I got to tell you, a lot of that's led by the media, right? Because they pumping this thing, and they could do it subtly, and they could do it over overtly, or they could do a full wave to someone, right? Next thing you know, you got one person doing it, one person talking about, next thing you know, everyone's into. So I remember that lesson. I leaned heavily, and I think I do that now. And I think about, I can name multiple examples where things have got solved from a better place than being in a place where I want to solve something, but what's behind that is fear and anger and all that. And guess what? It didn't get solved, or I didn't make progress with it. It's a simple thing. I talked to you about the self-talk. What conversations are you having yourself? When you walk by that mirror in the day, do you high five yourself, or you're like, damn, you're kind of messed up person, or just any doubt? Well, I'm not going to be able to do this today. I'm not. What comes up when you walk by that mirror every day? Is it
Mm.
adoration? Is it love, right? And then you think about this whole love piece. Why can't we have a whole lot of love for each other? Why can't we? Why collectively as humans are we not as an alignment? And I talked before about the contrast. What do you think about the things? And I remember that was the thing I saw a lot with Kristen. And just the end of this is one of my favorites. Just be easy with it, man. What what part of your day are you just easy with it, man?
Yeah.
Just be easy. I mean, what part of your day? Because get up in the morning, because you don't have no resistance. You notice that when you sleep. You
Mm.
rarely, when you first wake up, anger. That's just something you just brought back to you. I left it at the step of my bed when I fell asleep. I picked that damn thing up when I woke up. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
Well, what
Yeah.
could you wake up in the morning with? A whole lot of different vibe and different perspective, right? So I just think about just being easy with stuff, man. I've had some examples this week where I was like, I was activated by some things, and next thing I know, I was trying to be easy with it, and I was trying to problem solve when I was at a place of ease versus a place of anger, and it seems as though I was able to get some more things accomplished from that perspective. So, man,
Yeah.
those are the things that's been going on in my world, man, and I think like when I went to the musical events, I was in such a place of ease, place of just love.
Hmm.
And I felt very inspired from that perspective. Because, you know, sometimes it starts with, if you could just be in a little bit more balance yourself, start with hope. And hope goes from this place of hope, discovery, and then just surety, right? And you can get to that place of surety. You can operate at those places easier than operating in anger and bitterness and doubt.
Yeah. It goes to a lot of things. I'm pretty sure that you were told over the years.
Yeah, it
The
was.
first thing they tell you is in a situation, make sure you calm yourself down first, then deal with it.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. That
Yep.
was probably from someone older than us that had wisdom, right?
Hmm.
You notice this, right? You get this wisdom from elderly people and you get it from children because you don't see them with high resistance, do you? Listen, I
No.
told you before, it's like with my name. These children laugh hundreds of times a day, and we may, if we're lucky, get 20. And I say to myself, what the hell is wrong with us? We've been so indoctrinated by a bunch of garbage, right? We should go watch what children do and watch what the elderly, right? What they do, right? We can figure this stuff out.
What
We
was that
say
saying?
we've arrived.
What was the saying you had? Smile 1,000 times. What was it? It was something. Oh
Laugh
my!
100 times, right?
You got it. That's what it was.
100 times a day,
And
brother.
I try to pay attention, man.
Yeah.
I try to. And it's so true. The
I don't even think I got. I know damn well I didn't get 20 laughs in the day.
mm,
You
yep.
know, and it's like, imagine if we did that, right? If we woke up and didn't worry about our day and we spent 10 minutes to ourselves just being in a better vibratory state, where would we be? We tried
Mm,
that for 1 week, right? Even though all the stuff we may have going on, because we all got things we're going on, right? And that's to be respected, right? But
yeah.
imagine he was like, man, we could get to a place where we start to expect different outcomes, right? Then we become
Hmm.
hopeful. We go straight up that ladder, right?
Yes.
Of surety. So, um, I've started writing a book.
Oh, good. Good.
So, like I said, I got my marching orders. Got my marching orders from Kristen. I know where to go now.
Yeah. I think you as a writer, it's going to be amazing. I always tell Mike Samayo that,
Mm,
and he's finally getting his book together, and it's almost to completion.
that's great.
Um, and so, and And now here we are, the beginning of your circle and your book. And all I'm gonna say is just know when to stop. And if you don't, just stop. Because you're always gonna feel you're missing something in that book. And
Oh
so you
yeah.
want to add to it and add to it and add to it. There's no reason to it. You write one book, you're gonna write a second one. So whatever you miss in the first one, you put in the second one. And so don't ever feel like you got to get everything in it, because I guarantee you will write another one because you're gonna critique yourself after you read your first book, and it's gonna cause you to do something else, or you're gonna get inspired to do something else. So, um, but please do that. And now I'm gonna have to give you some reminders. What are you doing with your book today? And
Oh yeah. Well, I didn't have a chance to really go into with you, but um, I got I'm at a better place and a place of ease
mhm,
by receiving my marching orders. What kind of where I should go with
yeah,
things.
mm,
Um, and if you want me to, I'll be glad to share a couple of things.
sure, yeah. Yeah.
What would you like to know?
Let's see. So you said marching orders.
Hmm.
Um, are these marching orders easy to follow?
Clearly, they go in alignment with where I should be and what most
Hmm.
aligns with the greater me.
Hmm.
So yeah, I mean it's right. Be my best self, less stress. Um, and it's time to move forward.
What's the first thing that was told to you to do? If you care to.
Mm. First thing was to move forward
All right. So you're moving forward. Hmm.
with others in my life.
Yeah. So are you? Does the pace need to be quicker or slower? What do you think?
I think things fall into line into naturally.
Hmm.
Think about it, sometimes when you force things, right? Just like if you had 5 minutes to leave out the house and you
Hmm.
put your keys somewhere and you were getting flustered, you couldn't find your keys until you calmed down.
Yeah.
That's when sometimes you just got to be very much at a certain place with things and let things just come naturally. Sometimes you can speed things up, but I just think that place of moving forward, moving on, is critical, along with the stress. Things are going to work out for me. Writing, I
Hmm.
think those are pretty clear messages.
Good. The let's see. Through these marching orders, right?
Hmm.
Um, sometimes they get confirmed in other ways, right? They get confirmed that what someone is trying to tell you to do as far as moving forward, be more expressive, uh, fulfill some of those other things that we talked about.
Hmm.
Um, you're gonna find that they get confirmed by other people in your life, like your mom, right?
Absolutely.
Um, and those confirmations are good, right?
Hmm.
And doesn't make you feel like you're going crazy. What am I doing? you know.
Man, I've been on the brink of that many days, my brother, because that's the whole thing about losing someone, man. You don't know if you're coming and going, but you keep working through things, right? the best way you can and give yourself a level of grace. But to, oh yeah, it was first validated by her beyond a shadow of a doubt,
Mm.
and by others as well, man. And so, um, but I'm kind of riding this wave of life, and let things come naturally and how they come. Just kind of be easy with it because you just never know how things work at times, man. And there are no coincidences, man. There are none. And sometimes you just gotta just go easy with it, man.
True, true. I want to say thank you to everybody that's on Facebook, that's listening, LinkedIn, and YouTube, on the Really Charlie podcast channel. Please like and subscribe to the channel, and add the comments. You may put in some comments now, or you may do it later when we're actually off the air. But I definitely will answer it. Marvin will answer it. You direct to either one of us. We'll definitely get back to you, and feel free if you want to be part of this podcast and part of this content that we do. We try to do it once a month, so just let me know. But you making a request to come on the show, guess what? Your day may be tomorrow. You may say, Charlie, I have to do something. I want to do it tomorrow. Can we do it? And I'll do it. We don't have to wait around. I would definitely gladly put you on the podcast and talk about your story. As it is today, it's usually Marvin, myself, and two others, maybe even three others. Today it's me and Marvin. Today was the day that it needed to be me and Marvin, right? And talking. So, feel
No
free
coincidence.
yeah.
No coincidences, brother.
Yeah, true. The Now you got me wondering. Now my head spinning about your book. And it's gonna
Man,
it's
it's
like
gonna be it's gonna
antis
hit.
it's like I'm gonna anticipate. I'm gonna be anticipating, on holiday, Christmas or something. I'm anticipating that gift. So I can't wait. Can't wait.
Yeah, I can't. It's I have been talking about this for years, right? I ain't talked about the title for years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's a love story,
Hmm.
and the love story is the love of you
Wow.
and love those who are around you, and the love you've received, but most important, the love that you have for yourself, because you are um, far more powerful than you can ever realize, and those are things I forgot, especially
Mm.
grieving. Like I
Yeah.
said, you go to the floor, man. I shared on a podcast that I'm gonna probably release tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
I gave the staggering numbers on, um, people who are going through grief, the death rates, and all this other stuff. But there's another side of that, right? You're talking about duality, right? And so you got to be mindful of, how much stress is costing you, right?
Yeah.
And we've seen that collectively from ourselves and others, right? What stress brings, and those are the facts that probably release that podcast. Like I said, next day, probably next day or two, which
Mm-hmm.
goes a lot into that.
I'll have to share it. I definitely will. Um, Now that you mentioned that podcast, I'm glad you're doing that because I'm gonna make next week. I'll be on the I'm Right podcast.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and I'll be on with Tony and Jill, and but one of my recommendation is to reach out to you and get you on that podcast. Usually goes
I'm
around
always ready, man.
30. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
about 30 minutes to an hour, and it's a great It's a great show, great host, who was a, they were both guests on this podcast,
Oh, nice.
and now we become friends, I got a great fondness for both of them. I think they're just wonderful people, and thanks to them, I have a good following from the state of Georgia. So
Oh, wow. Okay.
yeah. Mhm.
Nice. Nice.
The I I hope that our friends, Liz and Paula and Phil, and hope they're doing well.
Of
You have
course.
any updates on Liz and how she's doing?
This is doing. We text over the weekend. She couldn't join, and
Okay.
we're going to get back on next week.
All right.
Um, Liz is always great. Liz is an amazing woman. Um, you know,
Talk about your show.
yeah, I'm glad I'm doing that with Liz because um, she was like, you should. We were talking every month, right? Because
Hmm.
when Kristen passed, we were at the celebration of life. She was like, I was asking some questions like, you can call me. She said, you can call me. We can talk about it anytime. I said, well, I don't want to use up all your time. She stopped me and went on. She may have put her hand up on it. She's like, hey, use me. Don't worry about that. So, all right, cool. Hey, once you invite me, I'm going to come. That's just
Yeah.
how I do things, right? So we were talking for 6, 7 months, and she's like, you should do a podcast. I'm like, okay, well, you're doing it with me.
Hmm.
So we just got on. We just we've been unpacking it from both sides. Well, four sides:
Yeah.
love and grief, male and female.
Mm.
And I love that because there's clearly when you lose a spouse, there's a different perspective from a male um, and a female. There's totally different perspective
Yeah.
on that. Same level of pain, same level of growth and comfort, but there's quite a few things are different. We
Yeah.
we we go into that, um, and so yeah, so you know, I'm so grateful for that because I consider for her to me that was a labor of love, for her spending time to do that, all the stuff that she's got going on.
Hmm.
It never tells me no, like I can't or I won't. And it was hard for her to make that jump from her grieving in order to start talking about it. So I got nothing but love for this woman and appreciation for doing that with me. And we'll continue. We'll continue to go through that for sure.
Excellent. The let me know when you get your show. If you can tell me, the
Okay.
day before or day of, I want to focus on that and listen and support.
Okay.
But it I want to listen to you too doing your thing. I just want to hear it, and get some vibes, and um, it's just as a friend and as family, I need to do that.
No, I
So
appreciate that, man. I
yeah,
really, really appreciate all your support.
the
You know, it's day one, man.
yeah, the I have I was looking for something, I can't find it, but no worries. I share this podcast on your page, on your
Okay,
profile,
great,
so
great.
it's there. And let's do this again. Um, and I'd like to call you soon.
Yeah,
So we can,
anytime. I like getting on and chatting up. Like I said, man, we can talk about anything underneath the sun, man. It's like
yeah,
good to get those thoughts out of your head, something to go somewhere, and that's why the book's really going to do that as well. It's not going to be a long book; it's going to be a shorter book, and
yeah,
before the release, you're going to be very intrigued by the title.
yeah. I know I will. But that's you. That's That's part of your resume. Intriguing, and can't wait. All right, man. Well, let's do this again. As soon as we can get everybody together. And like I said, it doesn't have to be everybody. It can
Okay.
be me, you, and or it could be a friend of yours, Marvin, that you talk to.
Okay.
And they explain something to you, and you say, "Well, I got a great podcast. You can come on." I may not be able to make it, but we can. I'll set you up with Charlie, and we'll do what we're doing right now.
Okay.
Um, all right. Everyone, thank you for joining me. This Really Charlie podcast. I'm here on Facebook Live, LinkedIn, YouTube. I'm part of WNB1 Radio, 262 Union Street, New Bedford, Mass. And check out their website, WNB1.com. Spell out the word one.com. And check out all the music there. They have various shows like Luxury Tax, Straight to the Point, the Really Charlie podcast, Frequency Live. Um, and let's see, we have Leon Corey that does his little political show. So great things 24 hours, 7 days out of the week. You get to listen to some hip hop music or experience one of the podcasts that we have. I'm also host with Paula Santos Young on Fentanyl Facts and Stories, which we do every Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. 7:30 Eastern Time, and on Monday, we talk about the dangers of fentanyl and other opioids. We talk to many, many people sharing their stories, and sometimes they're not good, and the end result is they were fatal. Like Paula's son had passed away through fentanyl poisoning. All right, here's a lovely message from Michelle Perry, sending hugs and kisses.
Oh, sending
And
hugs and kisses to her as well.
yeah, yeah,
There
yeah.
you go.
That's it. Got the support. Love her.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. I tell you what, man. I miss the folks from the East Coast a lot. It's just different. I love the
Yeah,
people out here. Don't get me wrong, but my heart's always gonna be on the East Coast.
you come here. My house is your house. So you got to
Appreciate
get away. Let me know.
it. Okay.
And please give mom a hug and kiss when you see her.
Yep.
That
Talked to her
beautiful
last
one.
night.
Yeah, it's hey, maybe we can get her on here and she can tell her story and what she's
Oh my
going.
gosh, that'd be something.
Yeah, just remind me, and then we'll invite her.
Yeah, that'd be
She's
something. Yeah, that'd
yeah,
be something. Yeah, that'd be something because you know we do miss a lot of insight and wisdom
mm-hmm.
from them. And she had this one saying. Oh man, I want to bring it up real quick.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Let's see. Um, Something about trust few, love many. Something about you gotta row your own canoe.
Mm, mm. See, that's why we got to talk to the elders, man. you know. Well,
When I heard that, I just couldn't stop laughing, man, because
yeah,
these are the things that come up. These sayings are everything.
yeah.
I don't know if you ever have a chance. I know we're about to leave, but Shannon Sharp.
Mm-hmm.
He's always talking about sayings that his grandfather said.
Yeah,
And it's funny, but it's so true.
yeah.
And
It's
these are the things where, man, you missed that part.
yeah. He's that dude. If he lies, I'm not gonna know it because I get into everything that he's doing, and he could tell me a lie and I'll believe it until he says, Charlie, I lied to you, because
Mhm.
everything he says, I just absorb it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Um,
yes, Shelley. So so true.
yeah,
It's
thank
so much we can continue to learn and to pass down. You know, there was a period of time where everything was passed from mouth to ear,
hmm
and that made it easier, and it was really a help. The elderly, from what I heard, what I see, elderly are great for transitioning children in here.
hmm
Elderly are great to transition people out of here.
Wow. Hmm. Didn't think of that. Yeah. It's I don't know. I been reaching out to a dear uncle of mine more frequently. And because I had heard that he was a little sad that people wasn't reaching out to him and the family. And I was like, wow, man. I just didn't it was sad to me, and I was like, I can't do that, and I gotta let him know that he's loved very much. So, and now that but I know he has a lot of wisdom, but he's a little quick wit. How you doing? How's the family? How's kids? What's going on? Oh, and then all right, I gotta go, and I gotta slow him down sometimes. And the only time we get to slow him down is if I pay him a visit. So no more phone calls after this week. I gotta go visit him.
I love the elderly. I love the elderly, and I love young children. I loved that when I used to work in preschool.
Hmm.
You know, running preschools. I just
Yeah,
love them because, like, you just. That's where I feel like I get most of my wisdom from. The elderly or the very, very young,
yeah.
because they're not tainted by all that stuff in the middle.
Yeah, I worked with teacher Elizabeth Flowers, and if she's out there listening, I love you. But she was great with kids in the preschool.
Mhm.
Me, I was a little intimidated. They put me in a preschool, and I'm like, and it's so little and delicate, delicate, and I just, just don't, I don't want to. They cry. I'm bringing the papa instincts in, and I'm trying to, don't cry. We're just gonna, eat our breakfast, or we're gonna it's playtime a little bit later. All that things. But
Right.
Mrs. Mrs. Flowers was just amazing. She
Hmm.
was just she would get those kids in line, and but it just I mentioned that because you said preschool, and
Yeah,
that's
the children make the world go around.
yeah.
Not the adults, the children.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, they sure do. All right, brother, you're the
Okay.
best. Thank you, everyone,
Likewise.
for those comments, those beautiful comments. I appreciate them. And you know, let me mention one more time: WNB1 Radio. WNB1 Radio is a Black and Latino-owned internet-based radio station that provides quality entertainment to the greater New Bedford area, Boston, Providence, and beyond. Tap the link below, which I don't have on the screen, but it's they got a streaming site. But like I said, just go to WNB1.com. It's right there on the bottom screen on the ticker, and add it to your Apple devices or Android. Oh, wait, Shelly got a good comment here. Let me read this. Family, family isn't family anymore. Let's see. Put it on the screen. Family isn't family anymore. We used to sit at a table and eat together. We could have to be in the house when the street lights came on. Yes, we all familiar with that. And if I did something wrong, the neighbor would tear my behind up and then take me home, and my mom would tear me up again or tear my behind up again. Of course, think we all kind of experienced that, and
Oh, yeah, I did.
yeah,
I was
if
better for it though. I was
yeah,
better.
yeah, I'll take everything they gave me, and then some, because thanks to that upbringing, I am a much better person. Um, and I'm gonna vouch for that, because I think I could have went the other way very easily.
Yep, we
Um,
all could have.
Good, bad, and ugly in everyone, but we try to keep those ugly things away. So, anyways, Marvin, brother, Coach M100, and you are 100% a man that I love, man. You
Love
need
you, brother.
anything from me, you just give me a call, and we'll get things going. But thank you for your time's valuable, and I'm glad you're here. Thank you.
Always got time for you, brother. Always got time for the audience as well. Love you all as well.
Yeah, I do too, man. Great audience, always supporting me and you. All right, brother. I'm gonna end this podcast with my favorite song by Lionel Peter Walker. And thanks for tuning in. This is Love and Life podcast with my family, my friend, Marvin Speller. Thank you, and have a good night.
It's the Really Charlie Podcast. Yeah, it's the Really Charlie Podcast. Yo, it's the Really Charlie Podcast. Bumping through your broadcast. Grab a chair, fill your glass. Yeah, it's the Really Charlie Podcast. Yo, it's the Really Charlie Podcast. Yeah, it's the Really Charlie Podcast. Bumping through your broadcast. Grab a chair, fill your glass.